jail. Are you...
Sarah had always been a cautious person, especially when it came to online dating. She had heard too many horror stories of people being catfished, scammed, or worse. That's why she always did her research before agreeing to meet anyone in person. She checked their social media profiles, Googled their names, and asked for a video call to verify their identity. James seemed to pass all her tests. He was handsome, charming, and successful. He worked as a lawyer in a prestigious firm and lived in a nice apartment in central London. He had plenty of photos and videos on his Instagram account, showing him traveling, playing golf, and hanging out with friends. He also had a LinkedIn profile with glowing recommendations from his colleagues and clients. He was polite and respectful in his messages, and he never pressured her to do anything she wasn't comfortable with. They had been chatting for a few weeks when he finally asked her out for a date. He suggested that they meet at his place for dinner and drinks, since he loved to cook and had a great wine collection. Sarah hesitated at first, but then decided to give him a chance. He seemed trustworthy enough, and she was curious to see his home. Besides, she had his address and phone number, and she told her best friend where she was going and when she would be back. She took a taxi to his apartment building and texted him that she had arrived. He replied that he would buzz her in and meet her at the elevator. She entered the lobby and waited for the elevator to arrive. She felt a surge of excitement and nervousness as she imagined seeing him face to face for the first time. The elevator doors opened and she stepped inside. She pressed the button for the 10th floor and waited for the doors to close. As they did, she heard a voice behind her. "Hello, Sarah." She turned around and saw a man standing in the corner of the elevator. He was not James. He was older, shorter, and heavier than James. He had a scruffy beard, a scar on his cheek, and a sinister smile on his lips. He was holding a knife in his hand. Sarah felt a wave of panic wash over her. She tried to scream, but the man grabbed her by the throat and pressed the knife against her side. "Shh, don't make a sound," he whispered in her ear, "or I'll cut you right open. I'm not here to hurt you if you cooperate." Terror gripped Sarah's heart as she realized that she had been lured into a dangerous situation. It became clear that the person she thought was James was just a facade created by this criminal to deceive her. Her cautious nature suddenly seemed inadequate in the face of this sinister trap. "Do exactly as I say, and you might get out of this alive," the man continued, his voice dripping with menace. Sarah nodded, trying to stay composed despite her racing heart. She knew she had to stay calm and think of a way to escape this dire situation. The elevator stopped on the 10th floor, and the man gestured for Sarah to step out. She complied, acutely aware of the knife still pressed against her side. He led her down a dimly lit hallway, and as they approached an apartment door, she noticed it wasn't James' place. It was a completely different unit. With a sudden surge of courage, Sarah decided to seize any opportunity to get away from her captor. As they reached the door, the man fumbled for the keys in his pocket, momentarily loosening his grip on the knife. In that instant, Sarah broke free from his hold, stumbling backward. She managed to elude the man for a few precious seconds, sprinting back down the hallway toward the elevator. She heard him shout in anger and give chase. Her heart pounded in her chest as she reached the elevator and frantically pressed the button to summon it. Thankfully, luck was on her side, and the elevator doors opened just in time. She rushed inside, hitting the button for the ground floor repeatedly. The man was still gaining on her, but the elevator doors closed just before he could reach her. Breathing heavily, Sarah felt an overwhelming sense of relief. But she knew her ordeal wasn't over yet. She quickly pulled out her phone and dialed the emergency number for the police, recounting the horrifying events to the operator. They assured her that help was on the way. While waiting for the elevator to descend, Sarah tried to think of any information she could give to the police about the man and his motives. She regretted not sharing her suspicions with her best friend earlier, as that might have prevented this dangerous encounter altogether. As soon as the elevator doors opened, Sarah rushed out of the building and waited for the police to arrive. Her heart raced with anxiety, but she knew she had to be strong for the investigation. When the police finally arrived, they listened intently to her harrowing tale. She provided them with all the information she had gathered about James from their conversations, as well as a description of the criminal who had posed as him. The authorities took her statement seriously and assured her that they would do everything in their power to find the perpetrator. For the next few days, Sarah cooperated with the police investigation, helping them identify the criminal through various means, including looking at security footage from the building and tracking the phone number that had been used to communicate with her. Meanwhile, the shock and trauma of the incident weighed heavily on Sarah's mind. She sought support from her family, friends, and even a therapist, trying to process the terrifying experience. It was a painful journey to recovery, but she refused to let fear consume her. Eventually, the police were able to track down the criminal, and he was apprehended before he could harm anyone else. It turned out he had a history of violent crimes and had used social media to target and lure unsuspecting victims. Sarah's bravery in reporting the crime and her willingness to help with the investigation were praised by the authorities. She became an advocate for online safety and shared her story to raise awareness about the dangers of online deception. Although she had narrowly escaped a terrible fate, Sarah's ordeal had taught her the importance of trusting her instincts and taking precautions, even when things seemed too good to be true. From that day forward, she resolved to be even more cautious and vigilant, knowing that her quick thinking and determination had saved her life. Amy had always been a cautious person. She never took unnecessary risks, always followed the rules, and avoided strangers. She had a stable job as an accountant, a nice apartment in the suburbs, and a few close friends. She was content with her life, but sometimes she felt lonely. She had been single for over a year, after breaking up with her ex-boyfriend who cheated on her. She was not ready to trust anyone again, but she also missed the feeling of being loved and desired. She decided to try online dating, hoping to find someone who would respect her and treat her well. She downloaded a popular dating app and created a profile. She was honest about herself, her interests, and her expectations. She swiped through dozens of profiles, rejecting most of them for various reasons. Some were too old, too young, too arrogant, too boring, or too creepy. She was about to give up when she saw his profile. He was handsome, with dark hair and blue eyes. He had a charming smile and a friendly expression. His name was Jake, and he was 28 years old. He worked as a journalist and traveled a lot. He liked movies, music, and books. He seemed perfect for Amy. She swiped right and waited anxiously for a match. To her delight, he swiped right too. They started chatting and hit it off immediately. He was funny, smart, and attentive. He asked her questions about herself and listened to her answers. He complimented her on her appearance and her personality. He made her laugh and blush. They exchanged phone numbers and moved their conversation to text messages. They texted every day throughout the day. They shared photos, videos, and voice messages. They called each other at night and talked for hours. They felt a connection that they had never felt before. They decided to meet in person after 2 weeks of texting. Jake told her that he was in Sydney for a work assignment and that he would be staying at a hotel downtown. He invited her to join him for dinner at his hotel restaurant and then spend the night with him in his room. Amy hesitated at first. She liked Jake a lot, but she was nervous about meeting him for the first time. She wondered if he would be as nice as he seemed online, or if he would be different in real life. She also worried about going to his hotel room on their first date. She was not sure if she was ready to sleep with him so soon. She told him about her concerns and asked him to be patient with her. He assured her that he understood and respected her feelings. He said that he would not pressure her into anything she did not want to do. He said that he just wanted to see her face to face and spend some quality time with her. He sounded sincere and sweet. Amy decided to trust him and agreed to meet him at his hotel. She dressed up in a simple but elegant black dress and matching heels. She applied some makeup and perfume and checked herself in the mirror. She looked beautiful and confident. She took a taxi to the hotel and texted Jake that she had arrived. He replied that he was waiting for her at the lobby. She got out of the taxi and walked into the hotel. She looked around for Jake, but she did not see him anywhere. She texted him again, asking where he was. He replied that he was sorry for being late, but that he had an emergency at work and had to go back to his room to finish an article. He asked her to come up to his room instead of waiting for him at the lobby. Amy felt a pang of disappointment and anxiety. She did not like the idea of going straight to his room without seeing him first in public. She wondered if he was lying about his work or if he had changed his mind about dinner. She texted him back, asking if they could meet at the restaurant instead of his room. He replied that he was really sorry, but that he had no choice but to finish his work as soon as possible or risk losing his job. He begged her to come up to his room and promised that he would make it up to her later. He sent her his room number and told her that the door was unlocked. He said that he loved her and could not wait to see her. Amy felt torn between her doubts and her feelings for Jake. She wanted to believe him and give him a chance, but she also felt uneasy about the situation. She decided to go up to his room anyway, hoping that everything would be fine once she saw him in person. She took the elevator to the 15th floor and walked down the hallway until she found his room number, 1523. She knocked on the door softly, but there was no answer. She tried the handle and found that it was indeed unlocked. She opened the door and stepped inside. She saw a spacious and luxurious room with a king-size bed, a sofa, a desk, a TV, and a balcony. She saw Jake sitting on the bed, typing on his laptop. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. He was even more handsome than his photos. He stood up and walked towards her. He hugged her and kissed her passionately. He whispered in her ear that he was so happy to see her and that he missed her so much. He led her to the bed and sat down with her. He put his laptop aside and looked into her eyes. He told her that she was beautiful and that he loved her. He kissed her again and started to unbutton his shirt, but Emily gently pushed him away. She needed to address her concerns before going any further. "Jake," she said, trying to keep her voice steady, "I appreciate your feelings, but I feel uncomfortable with how things are going. I understand you had an emergency, but it's not what we initially planned." Jake looked surprised, but quickly composed himself. "I apologize, Emmy. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Let's forget about the room and go to the restaurant instead. We can take it slow and enjoy our dinner together." Amy felt relieved that Jake understood and respected her boundaries. "Thank you for understanding," she said, smiling genuinely. "Let's go to the restaurant and spend some time getting to know each other better." They both got up from the bed, and Jake held out his hand for Amy to take. They left the hotel room and went to the restaurant on the ground floor. The atmosphere was relaxed, and they chatted comfortably while enjoying their meal. As the evening progressed, Amy found herself feeling more at ease with Jake. He shared stories about his travels, his work as a journalist, and his interests. Amy also opened up about her life, her job, and her hobbies. They discovered many common interests, and the conversation flowed naturally. After dinner, they decided to take a walk by the harbor, enjoying the beautiful night view of the city. They strolled side by side, occasionally stealing glances at each other and smiling. Jake apologized again for the earlier miscommunication and reassured Emmy that he wanted to take their relationship at her pace. He admitted that he was genuinely interested in her and wanted to build something meaningful between them. Emmy appreciated his sincerity and felt a growing connection to him. She realized that her feelings for Jake were becoming stronger than she expected. The caution she had initially exercised began to wane as she found herself trusting him more. Over the next few weeks, Amy and Jake continued to spend time together, going on dates and deepening their bond. Jake proved to be a caring and respectful partner, always putting Amy's comfort and happiness first. As their relationship blossomed, Amy's fears and loneliness from her past started to fade away. She felt grateful for taking a chance on online dating and meeting Jake. It showed her that not everyone would hurt her or betray her trust. With time, Amy's trust in Jake grew, and she allowed herself to be vulnerable with him. They created beautiful memories together and began planning a future as a couple. However, unbeknownst to Amy, Jake had a dark side that he had skillfully hidden behind his charming facade. As their relationship progressed, he became increasingly possessive and controlling. He couldn't handle the idea of Amy being independent and having her own life outside their relationship. One evening, as they were having dinner at Emmy's apartment, an argument erupted between them. Jake accused Emmy of spending too much time with her friends and not giving him enough attention. His voice grew louder and more aggressive, and Emmy felt a wave of fear washing over her. Suddenly, Jake's demeanor shifted from anger to menace. He grabbed Emmy's arm tightly, leaving her in pain. He demanded that she give him her valuables and threatened her if she didn't comply. Emmy was stunned and terrified. She never expected that the person she trusted and cared for could turn into a violent and dangerous individual. She tried to reason with him, telling him that they could work through their issues without resorting to theft or violence. But Jake was beyond reason. His anger fueled his determination to get what he wanted. He continued to intimidate Amy, making her fear for her safety. In that moment, Amy realized that she needed to protect herself and find a way out of this dangerous situation. Summoning all her courage, she managed to break free from Jake's grip and ran towards the door. But he was quick to catch up with her, bucking her way out. With nowhere to run, Amy's survival instincts kicked in. She screamed for help, hoping someone nearby would hear her. To her immense relief, a neighbor heard her cries and called the police. When the authorities arrived, they found Emmy in distress and Jake trying to flee. He was apprehended and taken into custody. Emmy was shaken by the incident, but determined to press charges against Jake for his actions. She found support from her friends and family, who stood by her side throughout the ordeal. As the legal process unfolded, Jake's true colors were exposed. It turned out that he had a history of criminal behavior and had been involved in similar incidents before. Emmy's experience was not an isolated one, and the authorities were grateful she had come forward to put an end to his harmful actions. Despite the trauma she endured, Emmy emerged from this experience stronger and more resilient. She learned the importance of trusting her instincts and not ignoring red flags in relationships. She also sought therapy to help her heal from the emotional scars caused by Jake's betrayal. In time, Emmy rebuilt her life, focusing on her career and cherishing the relationships with those who truly cared for her. She became an advocate for raising awareness about domestic violence and the importance of recognizing signs of abusive behavior. Though her faith in people had been shaken, Annie remained hopeful that there were still genuine and loving individuals out there. She knew that finding the right person would take time, but she was determined to never settle for anything less than a relationship built on trust, respect, and mutual love. In the year 2019, in the bustling city of Moscow, Aliza, a young woman in her mid-20s, decided to try her luck with online dating. She had grown tired of the usual routines and hoped to find someone special to share her life with. One day, while browsing a dating app, Aliza came across Ivan's profile. His warm smile and genuine bio intrigued her, so she decided to strike up a conversation. They quickly hit it off, sharing common interests and a deep connection that seemed almost too good to be true. After a few days of chatting, Aliza and Ivan decided to meet at a luxurious hotel in the heart of the city. Nervous but excited, Elisa dressed in her best attire and made her way to the hotel. As she stepped into the hotel lobby, she spotted Ivan waiting for her with a charming smile. Their first meeting went better than she could have hoped for. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, and they laughed like old friends. As the evening progressed, Ivan suggested they continue their conversation in his suite. Elisa hesitated for a moment, but trusted her instincts and agreed. However, once they were alone in the suite, Ivan's demeanor changed. He began to show a darker side, making Elisa uncomfortable. Feeling uneasy, Elisa decided it was time to leave. But when she attempted to excuse herself, Ivan tried to grab her bag forcefully. Fear surged through her, but Elisa mustered her strength and courage. With adrenaline rushing through her veins, she managed to break free from Ivan's grip. She quickly moved towards the door, but Ivan blocked her path, demanding that she stay. Feeling trapped and scared, Elisa knew she needed help. With her heart pounding, she discreetly reached for her phone and pretended to check a message. In reality, she dialed the emergency number, hoping that the police would hear the situation and come to her aid. As she waited for someone to answer the call, Ivan grew increasingly agitated. He raised his voice, attempting to intimidate Elisa into submission. However, she refused to back down. The call connected, and Elisa quietly spoke to the operator, giving them the hotel's address and discreetly signaling that she was in distress. Realizing that Elisa was calling for help, Ivan lunged at her, trying to snatch the phone from her hand. A brief struggle ensued, during which Elisa managed to keep the phone away from him. Desperation kicked in, and Ivan's actions grew more aggressive. With the police on their way, Elisa knew she had to buy time until they arrived. She tried to reason with Ivan, pleading with him to let her go and promising not to involve the authorities. But her words fell on deaf ears, and Ivan's anger only intensified. Finally, the sound of sirens approaching the hotel gave Elisa a glimmer of hope. She knew that help was on its way. As the police entered the suite, Ivan's demeanor changed once again, pretending to be innocent and claiming that they were having a simple disagreement. But Elisa bravely recounted the events that had transpired, and her fear and distress were evident. The police were not fooled by Ivan's act and promptly took him into custody. In the aftermath of the incident, Elisa received the support she needed to overcome the trauma. She learned the importance of trusting her instincts and recognizing warning signs in potential partners. Though the experience was harrowing, Elisa emerged stronger and more determined to protect herself. With the support of friends, family, and professional help, she began to heal and rebuild her life. This incident served as a reminder to everyone about the importance of safety in online dating and the necessity of speaking up and seeking help in dangerous situations. It also highlighted the bravery and resilience that individuals like Elisa demonstrate in the face of adversity.